Hello and welcome to the daily lunch briefing at the Nordic Pavilion at COP26, where we are giving you a backdoor to the negotiations here in Glasgow. I'm happy to welcome today Marjo Nummelin, who is the head of the Finnish UNFCCC delegation, and here today with us to talk about her take on what's happening right now here in Glasgow. So this is how we give a backdoor to people to follow a little bit what's going on here. So could you start by saying, what does it mean to be head of the Finnish UNFCCC delegation?
Being part of the EU, we negotiate as part of the EU, and I think that the main job is to make sure that our views are seen in the EU positions, and we have of course a great team of experts who help me with that. And then of course here as well we work very closely with our EU colleagues to make sure that our views are fully kind of reflected in what the EU does. But then also I think that I'm here, we have a big Finnish delegation also in addition to the civil servants who are taking part in the negotiations. Yeah. We have different stakeholders. I mean, we have a youth delegate, we have people from business associations, we have NGOs, we have the people from the science world, and I think one of my duties here is as well to kind of make visible what they are doing, and then also give them a glimpse of how the negotiations are going.
So you're a Finnish representative in the negotiations, but you're actually also a representative of the negotiations to Finland.
I think so, kind of, yeah, trying to have information flowing to both sides.
Well, that's what you're doing right now. Yeah. And when you mention all these different kinds of people that are here, I think you can understand that there are 25,000 participants.
Exactly.
I think maybe people find that strange, why are so many people gathered here, but I mean, it's so many people interacting.
Yeah. Indeed, and that I think shows. I mean, it's been growing all the time, and it of course shows that the huge interest that there is today on climate change, finding solutions, and also kind of bringing the solutions forward here. Yeah.
And also because it's been 2 years, obviously.
Yes, as well.
It's much better. So Finland is mainly part of the EU position, you're saying. So how do the EU countries work together?
Of course, I mean, we are preparing our positions throughout the year and taking part in all kinds of informal consultations throughout the year. So this is now the kind of, in a way, the culmination of all that work. But we have been working very actively ever since Madrid, and here we have
2019.
Exactly for the last 2 years. So I don't think that even if there have not been physical meetings, but there's been a lot going on, of course. And here we have our kind of daily meetings where we of course take stock on what's happening, have a look at whether there is something in the EU position that we need to look at again. I mean, obviously when the negotiations proceed, everybody needs to show some flexibility, and that's where we need kind of EU decisions to kind of guide us on
so the EU has more leverage.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard this expression stock taking so many times. So what do you do when you take stock of
Well, I mean, there are so many negotiating tracks, as you might know as well. I think that there are more than 100 agenda items on the table, and of course they are very different. Some are politically much more visible and maybe important. Some are more technical, and I think that there will be some issues that we simply cannot do this year, which are the more technical ones. Maybe that will be postponed. But in any case, it's impossible almost for a smallish delegation like ours to follow absolutely everything. So taking stock within the EU, for example, means for us that then we really get information from all of these negotiating that have taken place the day before, and then you kind of try and formulate the big picture. What are the politically important questions? How are they proceeding?
Look at the movements,
exactly,
in the different negotiation groups, and they're all sitting around here in Glasgow.
Exactly.
In the SEC center here where we are.
Yeah. So there's I don't know how many negotiations going on at the moment, but definitely kind of dozens at the same time.
But you say there are the big political questions, and then there are all the technical issues, and they are the ones that often tend to be pushed aside. But isn't it so that the devil is often in the detail, and that is a big problem?
Also, the devil is often in the details, and then of course also there are many linkages between the different negotiating items. For example, just to name one, finance tends to be one issue which is of course very crucial, and we all know that this year, I mean, there's a lot of talk about this 100 billion pledge, climate finance pledge, and about the gap, and about the fact that you have to kind of close that, and there is a delivery plan. But then at the same time, finance is really a big part of many of the also more technical discussions.
Well, I can brag a little bit. Maybe we had an event here at the Nordic Pavilion this morning with 6 prime ministers and the Finnish president, along with Nordic pension funds, and they pledged 130 million US dollars, if I remember correctly, in what I think is a quite unique sort of partnership, public-private partnership. Do you think the Nordic countries have a role together? Now you are in the EU delegation, the Norwegians are not, but do the Nordics have a role together in this?
I think the Nordics definitely have a role in this together, and we are. I've been talking about the EU, but of course, I mean, we also do work together with also the whole team of Nordic negotiators, and we also share experience, and it's been always very fruitful. I think that we very often share the priorities for the negotiations, and then it's only good that we have kind of more voices to push for the same things. And then of course also kind of I think we have a tradition of working together with the businesses and with the civil society, and with sort of bringing the whole sort of stakeholder group in a way together as well. Because I mean, this is it's a challenge where what we as governments are doing is of course not enough, and the real action happens elsewhere.
Yeah, we have cities represented here.
Yes, that's also
we have innovation forum. We have so many things going on.
Exactly. Very important stakeholders as well. Yep.
So it's. Do you think the Nordic countries are better at listening to sort of the civil society, the stakeholders than other?
At least we have a long history in it. I think it's also part of our own decision making that we are kind of open, and we have all these sort of consultations already, kind of also mandatory consultations with many stakeholders in our own kind of policy process, and also I think, for example, talking about something that I think is very important for this COP, but also for all climate related action in general is the involvement of youth, and I think that the Nordic countries, for example, have been the first ones to include youth delegates in their delegations, and to really integrate the youth also in their
we really do our best to integrate, mainstream that in our program here also.
That's good.
So that's an important part of what we do. But now you mentioned that Finland, you're part of the EU position, you work with the Nordics, but do you have any priorities? Forestry or bioeconomy, or
of course these priorities, they are not necessarily as such kind of big issues this time on the negotiating table, but for example today there was the forest pledge that our president has been signing, and also an event related to that,
held by the UK presidency.
Exactly by the UK presidency, and I think I don't remember the amount of countries joining, but at least 85% of world's forests were covered by those who signed.
That's something. So that's something that actually happened today.
Yes, so that was a very concrete pledge to kind of halt deforestation, very important. But as negotiation issues, I mean, this time I don't think that for example, forests or bioeconomy are as such seen on the agenda, but I think for us, as for the whole EU, the main things are how to get an outcome of Glasgow where we are kind of really committing and having concrete steps on how to close the gaps on both mitigation with a 1.5 degree target, and then also finance. Then we want to finalize the rule book, so that's also joint.
Yeah, we heard about that yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Joint Finnish EU Nordic priority, I'm sure. So this, I think, is what.
Those are some of the big issues on the table.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned this forest pledge, what did the countries pledge, and what are the commitments?
It's a joint pledge to halt deforestation by 2030, and then there were also some financial pledges. I'm afraid I don't remember now exactly all the details.
It happened a few hours ago.
It happened a few hours ago. Yeah. And there was some.
We had a briefing yesterday with Marianne Carlsen, who's also Nordic, but also she's Norwegian, but she's also chair of the subsidiary body for implementation. So one of the two main operational bodies under the UNFCCC treaty. And she mentioned that trust is very important. And we often pride ourselves in the Nordics that trust is something we have trust. Trust the Nordic Gold is a name of publication from the Nordic Council of Ministers, in fact. How do you see that? How do we have a role there as peacemakers or negotiators that can bridge certain groups? Or
I think so, and I hope so, and I think that I think trust can also mean different things, but I think first and foremost I think that it means that when you do commit to do something, you actually really implement what you've promised to do, and I think that that's where we are of course quite strong. I mean, we have ambitious targets, and we have also kind of really robust plans to make that happen, and also of course also when it comes to climate finance, I think that we're quite strong allies there. And but then it's also about kind of really listening, being available to talk to people, and I think that's what we are also trying to do within also our little Nordic family
being
here.
Available to other people in negotiating game, as Marianne almost called it, but it's not a game, but it's a process, and there's lots of interactions. We have written on our wall here, you can't see it on the screen on the recording, but the broadcast, but we want to lead by example. So you're saying that we implement more often maybe than many other countries?
Well, at least we have robust plans to do the things that we have committed to do.
Okay. So here, finally, what is your hope for COP26, and what should we look out for?
My hope for COP26 is first and foremost that we have some kind of recommitment, strong language on keeping the 1.5 degrees within reach. I mean, I think that's the most crucial thing that this meeting and this convention can and should do. So I hope very much that there will be a commitment, and then maybe some kind of steps to follow up on this, because I mean we all know that we have to do things very, very fast. I mean, there will be the global stocktake, but also before that we have to increase climate ambition, and there should be a clear commitment to that. I really hope that we have finalized the rule book, which we all need to implement the Paris Agreement, and also, I mean, the negotiations, for example, on Article 6, they have been dragging on now for quite many years, so I hope that there is some kind of
Article 6 is about
the carbon markets, the market mechanism. Yeah, exactly.
And buying CO2 quotes.
Exactly.
Helping developing countries.
Yes, in a way, and then also kind of being able maybe to take a more ambitious target yourself if you can implement something.
You can borrow some of your emissions to others in a way.
Yeah. So but those at least, I think.
Those are but this still sounds very technical to me. So what people are calling for is also leadership. Political leadership. We have the World Leadership Forum right now going on yesterday and today with 120 world leaders gathered here. Do you think they will deliver?
I think we have heard some new commitments and new pledges from some parties here, and that's of course very promising. Of course, many of the pledges and increased emission reduction targets, they were already announced before we even came here, but there were some new ones that have been made here. So I really hope that all that then brings us a bit kind of closer again to the 1.5 path. But I think it's also at this point, I think that we have to say that we do not leave Glasgow knowing that we're firmly on the 1.5 path. We need to do more, and I think that the commitment to doing more is what we need.
So, would you say that the COP26 here in Glasgow is off to a good start?
I think it's off to a good start. Yes, yes. The negotiations have started. They're going on. I mean, people are working very hard. Also, the Leaders Summit. I think it's brought some very good,
some
good
momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's hope that, Marjo, and let's hope that if you don't get to actually reach to be able to implement right after COP26, at least that we are a significant step closer.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and as I mentioned, we will have these briefings every day, 1:15 GMT, looking at the negotiations or key issues going on here in Glasgow. Tomorrow it'll be a focus on finance. So we look forward to that and hope you'll follow us again. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.